Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast today. The Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio is now accepting applications for its Lead Diversity program. The president and CEO, Peggy Zone Fisher, is here, and the president of the 2010-2011 Lead Diversity class, Anthony Burwell, is also here, and they're going to talk more about this program. And then we will hear about a new exhibit also today at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage, located in Beechwood. Executive Director Judy Feniger is here, and Advisory Committee member June Sally Antoine will talk about the Hardship to Hope African-American art from the Karamu workshop. It's all involved with the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage. Later in the broadcast, Brenda Richards of the Center for Life Skills and Joe Cole will talk about their special Taekwondo program for children with autism. Good morning. A full day for you today, a full broadcast today is what I'm trying to say. This is Kaleidoscope. I'm Leon Bibb, and so we begin. Beginning with Peggy Zone Fisher, President and CEO of the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio, and Anthony Burwell, who's President of the Lead Diversity class. Good to have you both with us.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Good to have you with us, Peggy. Refresh our memory on the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio, what you do.
Well, the Diversity Center is a human relations organization. We've been around since 1927, began as the National Conference of Christians and Jews, and over the years the name changed, and we are now called the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. Our mission is the same, our history obviously is the same, and our mission is to help eliminate bias, bigotry, and racism. We work in 9 counties in Northeast Ohio. We do diversity training work in over 150 middle schools and high schools in 9 counties, and in most of the major corporations and healthcare facilities. We do cultural competency training. We are everywhere. One of the programs that we want to talk about today is the Lead Diversity program. It is our adult professional development program, and it is a year-long program. We take applications in the summer. The class begins in September, and you spend a day a month with us. You graduate in June, and I wanted Anthony here with us today because Anthony is the past president of this year's graduating class, and I tell him he was also the valedictorian of the class.
Let's bring him into the conversation. Tell us about the Lead Diversity program. What does it do, and how are you related to the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio?
Well, the Lead Diversity program is a program of the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. It is their program, but what it does is it brings together individuals from across the landscape that the Diversity Center serves. What we do is we come together through a competitive application process, and then we meet, as Peggy said, once a month, and we go through issues that really help us learn about ourselves, learn about what diversity truly means, both in business, professional settings, and in the community, and we're able to take back to our representative organizations and the places where we serve on boards and likewise this family approach to understanding how we can better communicate and live among each other.
Yeah. Are you taking applications for this?
We are definitely taking applications.
And now, who do you want to go? You want everybody to come?
We want everyone to come.
We want to be diverse.
We do want to be diverse. Well, let me tell you about our class. Ages 23 to 60 plus.
Yeah.
African Americans, individuals from this country, originally born, as well as immigrants of this country, people in all sorts of different types of work, but professionals, and that is important because how we're going to affect changes not only through communities but through the private sector as well.
I've got about 3 minutes remaining. What happens in these programs?
In these classes, we go through understanding and learning about each other first. It's difficult, Leon, because we all think that we know what diversity is. We all understand our own culture. None of us understand other people's cultures as much as we need to. So we go through exercises that opens us up to one another and then teaches us leadership skills about how to develop ourselves and then how to translate that back through our organizations and into the community.
I'm going to put a phone number on the screen where people can get more information on what we're talking about.
Great.
And, you know, certainly get those applications. 752-4974. You can get more information on it.
No, it's 752-3000.
752-3000?
Yeah, area code 216, and our website is diversitycenterneo.org.
Diversity Center NEO. I've got that on my notes. .org. Diversity Center NEO. Where do these classes take place?
They go all over the community. We spend a day, every class is located in a different location. In fact, I noticed that you're having the Maltz Museum on today. One of our sessions this year will be at the Maltz Museum in November, where we really do a reflection and an understanding of hate and tolerance. It's an amazing day.
So you go around town, you go around the various areas, and you learn. This is kind of like a hands-on.
It's hands-on
and open to anybody and everybody.
Open to everybody,
Yes.
and in fact, we make it very clear, and we work really hard to make sure that the class is very diverse, not just race, but that's a piece of it, but socioeconomic diversity, gender, age, physical challenges, every piece of it is represented, every piece of diversity.
Anthony,
Yes.
When does the program begin, and is there a cost to it?
There is a cost to the program. There's an application here. The cost is $1,500, but scholarships are available. The Alumni Association helps to raise the funds that go towards the scholarship programs, and then organizations like the one I work for, Infocision Management Corporation, helps to sponsor individuals from their companies into the organization. It is fantastic.
And you send out a bunch of information to anybody who needs it.
Yep.
And,
And it's on our website.
The application
also.
materials are all inside here, and you will send this to anybody who's
Absolutely.
interested.
The program begins in September.
But it is well worth the $1,500.
It is well worth it.
And companies can send their employees there.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It is encouraged. It's necessary because they're going to miss a day during the week, and so they have to have buy-in from their organization.
752-3000 is the phone number to call to get more information on everything we've been talking about. Diversity Center, NEO.org. You can get more information on everything we're talking about, or you can certainly go to newsnet5.com and look up our Kaleidoscope spot on there, and you'll get more information there as well, in case you didn't get a chance to write that one. Thank you so much for being on the broadcast.
Leon.
A lot
Thank
to talk
you.
about. We're going to have you back. I want to talk more about this later on.
I'd love that.
Anthony Burwell, lead diversity class, and Peggy Zone Fisher, president and CEO of the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. We'll talk about the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage, as you just heard, in just a moment. Back after these words, especially for you. Glad to have you with us on Kaleidoscope today. Hardship to Hope, African-American art from the Karamu Workshop, opens at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage on September the 13th. Its executive director, Judy Feniger, is here, and advisory committee member of that exhibit, Hardship to Hope, June Sally Antoine, is here to tell us more about the exhibit, which features the work of African-American artists who were trained at Karamu. Good to have you both here, ladies. Judy Feniger from the Maltz Museum in June, and Sally Antoine, good to have you here as well. Judy, tell us about the Hardship to Hope African-American art from the Karamu Workshop.
Well, thanks for having us here, Leon. This is a wonderful exhibition which really came to us originally because Cleveland State University has a collection of prints from the Jelliff collection, and around that collection we built Hardship to Hope.
And the Maltz Museum decided to put this in its walls, in its exhibit.
We did, in our special exhibitions gallery. It's a beautiful exhibition of prints and drawings, and now we have some oils.
June Sally Antoine, good to have you on the broadcast as well.
Thank you.
Your brother Charles Sally was one of the artists featured in the exhibit. Tell us about your late brother Charles Sally.
Well, I would say that a story about Charles would be a story of the family, because our parents were so interested in whatever we chose to do, and he had a passion for visual art.
Yes.
And so from the time he was 4 years old, they tell me, he actually, they had discovered his talent, and they encouraged and supported him all through elementary, high school, and then into the professional schools during the Depression even.
You brought some of the artwork along with you, and I'm going to hold a couple of these up, and you're just going to give me a couple of words on each one.
Okay, this is a gouache painted portrait of a Jewish lady that was done in 1933. Her daughter found it after her death in looking through, and wanted to know about the artist, and she wrote me to see if Charles was in Cleveland in 1933. There you see one of the WPA prints, which I love because of the beauty of that woman that he captured.
Did during the 1930s, the WPA, the Work Progress Administration, I think is what it was called, during the Depression times.
He did some of the murals, too, in the schools at that time.
Tell me what you found about his work, Judy Finnegar, and why the Maltz Museum found his work so appealing.
Well, this whole exhibition, and there are artists including Charles Sally Jr. and Elmer Brown, who did the murals that are now in Cleveland State and at the City Club, Zell Ingram. It's just beautiful, evocative work of the times, and it really tells us as much about the times as about the subjects.
And tell us, I'm going to try to get this one up. I'm going to have to stand up to hold this one, or, well, no, maybe I won't. We'll get that.
I think that really tells you a lot about the times and the women of the times. It really exemplified the gentleness and the beauty of that lady, but you can also see the stylish hairdos and the clothing. So that was part of that period.
Now, Judy, there are other artists other than Charles Sally that are whose works will be displayed at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage, correct?
There are 7 artists, and in addition to the Jelliff collection from Cleveland State, which is the bulk of what we're showing, we're also borrowing from Cleveland Museum of Art. June was kind enough to give a picture of her brothers to the Cleveland Museum of Art, which we're borrowing, and also from the Western Reserve Historical Society and Cleveland Artists Foundation.
Why is it important for these works to be on display?
Well, I think one thing is that they tell us about Cleveland and the times of Cleveland. Second is, as the Museum of Diversity and Tolerance, we're always looking for ways to reach out and tell the stories, and the story of this collection is interesting. The Jelliffs, who formed the bulk collection, were brought by the Methodists to Cleveland and formed what became Karamu House, and they formed it as a place, as an interracial place where people of all backgrounds could participate in the arts and through the arts come together. And so our preeminent black theater in our community turns out to be started by some Methodist settlement house folks who just had a belief, and then as a Jewish museum we are always about reaching out to other cultures, and so it all comes together beautifully for us.
And the Karamu Theater, of course, the Karamu Theater continues to operate at East 89th Street and Quincy Avenue on the east side of Cleveland, and I know you're very much involved with the arts. So this is a marriage, really, kind of Karamu and the Maltz Museum, the two art-oriented organizations coming together in marriage, all for the sake of art and for humanity and all of those kinds of things.
And Cleveland State with their Black Studies program, who actually owns the art, and their art museum and their library that holds the art. It's just a wonderful collaboration.
While we're at it, Judy, why don't you give us the location of the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage, seeing that we want people to come to this exhibit?
Sure. It is 2929 Richmond Road, and as you saw earlier, it begins on September 13th. Our website is maltzmuseum.org, and our phone number is 216-593-0575, and we would love everybody to come see us.
Well, there you go, and it's right there, located right in Beechwood. It's a wonderful place, and I've talked to Judy many, many times over the years about the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage, and we've talked to June Sally Antoine many, many times about a variety of things.
Yes.
It's always good to see you, June.
But it's wonderful to show this on diversity, and because that was one of the characteristics, I would say, of my brother, that the populations that he was attracted to were very diverse.
Well, good to have you on the broadcast to talk about your late brother, who lived to be 95, you said.
Yes.
All right. Many thanks, June, Sally Antoine, Judy Finnegar. Thank you for being on the broadcast.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break in just a moment. We'll return. We're going to talk about a special program for children with autism, and it involves Taekwondo after this. Good to have you back with Kaleidoscope. Occupational therapist and author Brenda Richards developed a program to train Taekwondo instructors to work with children with autism and other special needs. She is here along with Master Joe Cole of World Championship Martial Arts to talk more about this new program. Good to have you with us, Brenda Richards. founder of the Center for Life Skills, and Joe Cole, world champion martial arts. I should call you Master Joe because you've reached that level now, right? That's good. Good to have you on the broadcast. Tell me a little bit about the Center for Life Skills, Brenda.
The Center for Life Skills is a private practice. We offer speech therapy, occupational therapy, and music therapy for children with special needs of all age groups.
So now, but you have a relationship now with Master Joe Cole, world champion martial artist, about Taekwondo and autism. Tell me about that.
Yes. Well, with my own children, I started taking Taekwondo and started to realize all the benefits that we were receiving as a family, and thought about the kids that I work with every day, and thought what a great program it would be if they could learn some of these same techniques, some of the same motivations, some of the same social skills that are being provided for other families.
Joe, how do you go about this? How do you go working with the children with autism?
Well, we have to remember children with autism are not just like any other child, so they need some special attention with whatever their particular need might be. Whatever their disability is, we have to be aware of that disability and how to deal with it in particular. Whether it's Downs or any other problem they might have, we have to be able to gear our treatment of them toward that disability.
What's been the reaction from the kids that you've worked with?
The kids that I've worked with so far, I find that
they respond fairly well with it?
Yes.
Do you get some satisfaction out of it as well?
Yeah, it's interesting to work with kids like this because, you know, it's very different than working with your average child, and they're very different to work with.
Yeah. Brenda, do you open? Is it just children with autism? Do you go beyond?
For other special needs as well.
Talk a little bit about that.
A lot of children with maybe a diagnosis of attention deficit disorder can benefit. Sensory integration disorders can also benefit, along with some of the other more medically based diagnoses, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy.
Now, do you train the instructors?
I'm training the instructors, yes.
And does Joe help you with that as well?
Oh, he's one of the instructors I train.
Well, yes. I know.
Yes.
So, I mean, do you help, Joe? Do you help with training some of the other instructors too?
Yes.
What do you tell them to keep uppermost in mind? What must you keep uppermost in mind when you go about your job of work?
We keep most in mind that the expectation of the kid is going to be they need to be able to grasp basic skills over a longer duration of time. You know, we want them to be able to do something which helps them adapt to a more fit lifestyle in general than being in a hurry to reach any like a high complex goal.
Yeah. While we're talking about Taekwondo, why don't you tell us what Taekwondo involves?
Well, Taekwondo is a martial art, comes from South Korea, and it involves multiple facets, you know, involving physical activity and mental discipline, which people work at to achieve a better way, a better lifestyle.
Yeah. Brenda, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you regarding their child, to perhaps go through this Taekwondo or other classes, how would they do that? Can they just call you and then what's the process then?
Well, first they can call my office. I think we'll have the number.
Yeah, I'll put the number up.
They can call my office or send me an email, and if they're looking for therapy services, I can look at scheduling that and evaluation for occupational therapy or speech language therapy. If they're looking for the Adapted Taekwondo program, they can also contact me through the same information. I can hook them up with the school and a trained instructor.
Now, do you go to them? Do you go to the child? Do you go to the family?
Usually they come into my office. For the Taekwondo program, we'll be doing a registration process, and I will be there at the school, the Taekwondo school, for that process and help develop specific goals and specific strategies for each child.
You're located in Solon?
Yes.
Okay, let me put a phone number on the screen. Ask and it shall be given. You see the phone number there, 440-498-1100, or you can go to centerforlifeskills.com, and that 4 is numeral 4.
Yes.
Centerforlifeskills.com. Leave us with a thought on why you think this is so important for the youngsters to go through this training.
I think it's very important because they need something to do that's very hands-on, and and very movement oriented, and they have a lot of physical challenges which involve their physical ability, not just their mental ability. And to best approach the solution to those problems, it's going to be a physical activity which they can actually be moving through and developing their muscles and their ability to do the activity, not just their cognitive abilities.
And of course, you get a great deal out of Taekwondo yourself. That's why you continue. How long have you been doing this?
Since I could walk.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
That's been a long time.
Yes,
okay.
Very enjoyable, long time.
Brenda Richards, if people give you a phone call, they can begin this process,
yes,
and you will get them hooked up with somebody, one of the instructors, like Master Joe Cole here, world champion martial arts, and they can get the ball rolling.
Right.
Is there a cost with this?
Yeah, each class is going to have a cost. Generally, I think there's going to be a 6-week class, and there will be a fee for that.
All right. Well, 440-498-1100 is the phone number. You certainly want to make that phone call if this certainly fits you and your needs. Many thanks. Master Joe Cole, world champion martial artist. Good to have you with us. And Brenda Richards, founder of the Center for Life Skills located in Solon.
Thanks for having us.
The broadcast. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. Marcia Maccabee of the Urban League with a word of wisdom after this. Here's Marcia Maccabee, Urban League president here in Greater Cleveland. She's always here offering words of wisdom because we have a partnership with the Urban League. Kaleidoscope broadcast us and with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland.
We sure do, Leon, and we're very proud of that relationship. And everywhere I go, you know, people talk about us being on air together and the comments that we make together and the synergy. So we're just really excited about that. One of the things that has really been on my mind lately is we look at the news and what's going on in our country, what's going on the political scene and so forth. Something that's I've really been giving a lot of thought to lately is that in any strategic maneuver, when there is warfare going on of any kind, any kind of battles over turf or any of those kinds of things, one of the key moves is always to divide and conquer the people. And so I just want to encourage our listening audience to think about that and to really pay attention to all the facts that they're hearing and to really sort out the facts and to really hold the facts up against a lot of other evidence. Don't just listen to something and react to it, but test it against lots of other evidence.
And that's good advice for just about anything, no matter what you're looking at.
Absolutely. And we see it in churches, we see it in families, in relationships. You know, you hear something, you can't just go off on things that you hear. You really got to test it to make sure that what you're hearing is really true.
A lot of people pass along a lot of rumors. I try not to do that. We don't do that in the news business. We call them reports, but we don't deal with rumors. There's so many rumors about everything.
Oh, yeah.
But what you do is you have to try to get the facts and get some solid ground underneath everything that we report, something that you're able to prove.
And then I think we can stand pretty firm on our convictions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marcia Maccabee, always with good advice for all of us. For Marcia Maccabee, I'm Leon Bibb. So long.
Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.